Hi everyone, I'm Joel Stott-Jess with Life in Nica. In this video, I'm going to go through everything involved with buying property in Nicaragua from start to finish. For this and everything else about life or investing in the country, check out my site at lifeinnica.com. If you're watching on YouTube, the links I'll be mentioning are in the comment section below, and you can always check them out on the website at lifeinnica.com/blog. So first off, what is it like buying property in Nicaragua as a foreigner? The short answer is it's really easy if you've got a good agent and a lawyer. There are almost no restrictions on foreigners owning property here, and the purchase and registration process are the same for both foreigners and locals here. There's no need to have a local partner, and you can have the escritura, which is analogous to the deed, free and clear in your name. Same thing, you can register a corporation and own it as a foreigner. All we need is your passport and some basic personal information to set it all up for you. So, number two, do you need financing? So, this market here in Nicaragua has become excellent for cash buyers looking for bargains. There might be some seller financing on the property you like, but if you need longer term financing, it's best to look for it in your home country. Bank financing is just unattractive. Prior to the political issues of 2018, banks were providing foreigners mortgages, but interest rates were high at 8.5% to 9.5%, though at least it did provide a long-term financing option in the country. Now, with a few exceptions, those loans have dried up, and the mortgages available have interest rates of like 11 to 14%. It just doesn't make any financial sense to get a mortgage here. So in place of bank financing though, we are seeing more seller or vendor take-back financing. I wrote another article on that and you can check it out. I'll put the links in here. For seller financing, standard terms at the moment are deposits of usually about 50% down, payment terms only 2 to 3 years, but interest rates are okay at 5 to 7%. So those terms are variable and negotiable. It really depends on the property and the seller, you know? Now, which properties have that seller financing? Now, for that, you'll need to chat with myself, your agent, as it really depends on the sellers. So, on to number three. Where can you buy in Nicaragua? So, the only real restricted area for foreigners is near the international borders. Now, within 5 kilometers of the border with Costa Rica and Honduras, foreigners are actually excluded from purchasing land. Then from 5 kilometers to 15, the foreigners can buy, but they must apply for and receive a waiver permit in order to register that property. Now, we've seen those permits take as long as 2 years to get. And given all the great properties you can get elsewhere, I wouldn't recommend buying anything within 15 kilometers of the border. Resale is harder, your original registration is harder. Better just find something that's not that close. So, next up is oceanfront. So you can own oceanfront property here as a foreigner. The Ley de la Costa, or Law of the Coast, states that all the land within 50 meters of the high tide line is property of the country. It can be leased and improved upon, but generally not owned. Now, unless that property, oceanfront property, is a cliff and has a vertical limitation, you may be able to own right up to the water line. Chat with an agent and lawyer about that one. Now, there are also some older properties that are grandfathered in. For example, specifically in my region of San Juan del Sur, they've had title for longer before things came into effect, so it can vary. Again, if you're looking at anything beachfront, talk to an agent, talk to your lawyer, and we can help you out with that just to be sure. And check out the article as well. So now that you know some more of the basics about that, we can talk about finding your property. So in Nicaragua, currently there is no multiple listing service. Therefore, your best option is an experienced local realtor who can help you in that search. Now, if you're still watching this video, I would love that it would be me. However, there are also a lot of other good realtors in the country as well. Just make sure you ask around about their reputation, check out their company, check out some testimonials. You can check out my testimonials before choosing one. Your agent is the most important decision you can make when investing in Nicaragua. Now, I do also offer another service here. So if you go to lifeinnica.com/consulting, I offer a consulting service. If you're looking at a different area, property, business, or investment here, especially things that are not in my region, I do offer a consulting service. I act as a neutral third party and give you advice on how to successfully minimize those risks in those other areas. Over the years here in Nicaragua, I've helped with over $10 million in deals, and I might be able to save you a lot of money by avoiding some of the common mistakes here. So feel free to reach out for me and you can see if that consulting is worth it for you. So next up is valuation and making an offer. So most property prices here in Nicaragua are at least somewhat negotiable. Your realtor will investigate the property to determine how long it's been on the market, its condition, previous pricing changes, and how motivated that seller is. Then they'll help you craft an opening offer. Now, in order to put in that opening offer, we do require a $1,000 refundable earnest deposit. For that, we accept cash, national check, and PayPal. Now, that deposit just ensures that you are serious about the offer. If the seller accepts your offer, that $1,000 will transfer over and become part of a 10% deposit. I'll talk more about that main deposit and the remainder of funds a little later in this video. Now, if we can't come to an agreement with the seller, your $1,000 earnest deposit was returned to you, simple as that, minus the small 3% fee for PayPal if we went that way. So next up, we're on to hiring a lawyer. So let's say you found your property, we've got an offer accepted, now it's time to find a great lawyer. In the southern Pacific coastal region, so San Juan del Sur, Tola, Popoyo, I really like Dr. Javier Quinto from Salazar and Bandana. Now, there are lots of other good ones, and we can chat about that depending on where you're at and where you're looking for property. Again, with the consulting, if you're looking in another area, I can recommend somebody for you. Now, if you are going to be returning to your home country, before you go, we recommend getting a power of attorney. This way, your team can perform all of the tasks necessary without you having to fly back down. That power of attorney is usually a very specific document authorizing someone to sign for you at this specific property, at this specific price, via your registered email, and it makes the rest of the process a breeze and you can do it remotely. So your lawyer also will open an escrow account for you, serves to protect your funds, works just like escrow in Canada or the US, and I'll talk a little bit more about that escrow later. So now we're on to the deposit and talking about transferring money. So the next step is usually that 10% deposit, plus a portion of the legal fees as they begin working for you. Now, usually paid into escrow within 10 days of signing of the original agreement. Your $1,000 earnest money forms part of this deposit. Those funds serve to take your property off the market and hold it while the due diligence is ongoing. They become non-refundable if the due diligence comes back clean. However, if there's an issue that's big enough on the due diligence, those funds may get returned to you. Those are all things that we look for. Easiest way to send money to Nicaragua is via bank wire. It's fast, relatively inexpensive, and it's possible to open your own bank account later, but for this stage, it's better to use the escrow. Okay, so next up, we're on to that due diligence like I was talking about. During this process, the lawyers will go deep into the research about the property. They look into the escritura, which is the deed, liens against the property, tax records, utility bills, employment if applicable, and homeowners association fees. Now, should any issues arise during the process, such as property taxes, the seller will either have to pay that balance or have it deducted from the funds they receive at closing. Now, if there's an issue big enough to compromise the sale, we give you the option of, taking over the seller's funds, or your funds will be returned to you, again, minus the tiny transfer fees. So let's say we're done due diligence, everything came back clean like it always does, and we're on to the escrow process. So escrow process usually lasts about 45 days, and the lawyer completes that due diligence in 30. Now, once the due diligence has been completed, we recommend transferring funds into the country. Included in those final funds would be the remainder of your legal fees and your estimated closing costs. That gives us the funds the time to arrive so we can transfer the property to you on closing day. Now on closing day, the buyer and seller or the representatives, we sit down with the lawyers and agents and we sign the closing documents that transfers legal ownership to the new owners. Immediately afterwards, the escrow company releases the funds into the possession of the seller. So congratulations, the property is yours. You've got your dream property here in Nicaragua, and we are on to the closing amounts and the taxes. So those funds remain in escrow after closing, And the closing costs vary based on the valuation of the property. Those fees include 1% municipal tax, depending on the price in the municipality, property registration fee, which is usually about 1% of the deed price, or the municipal assessment, and all the government assessments here tend to come in at or above your deed price. Legal fees, 1 to 1.5% of the purchase price, and there's maybe another 100 to 250 in costs, depending on your property. Next, we have the transfer tax. So the transfer tax is based on the higher value of either the deed or the assessment by the National Tax Authority. The government performs their assessment after the sale. So we actually don't know exactly what your closing costs are until after closing. But we will keep you informed as much as possible as you're registering the property, but we can't give you an exact amount until after close. Transfer tax is 1% for properties under 50K, 2% under 100, 3% under 200, 4% under 300K, 5% under 400K, 6% up to $500,000, and 7% over $500,000. So it does become more substantial the more luxurious the property is. Now that is unless the property is held in a corporation. If the property is held in a corp, you can buy the shares of that corporation, and then you own the corp owns the property, and you avoid the transfer tax, municipal tax, and the registration fee. The owner of record stays the same, so only now that new owner of the corporation is you, and your corp still owns the property. So you would only pay legal fees and some of the closing costs. And you can read more about that in my article on corporations, or you can contact me because this is a major potential tax savings. You know, I think it's 7% on 500 grand if you're buying an expensive property. So some more on closing costs. Escrow, usually about $375, 0.5% of the purchase price or less. If it's carried out by the same firm, you usually get a little discount on that. Power of attorney, 50 to 100, common being 60. Survey and cadastral certificates, if we need them, those are map office certificates, 150 to 250. Wire fees, you're sending money down, they can be from 25 to 100 bucks depending on banks and size of transfer. So those are those, and now we're on to actually registering the property. So now it's time to complete the process, and these steps can actually only be completed once the sale is made. So your lawyer and realtor will complete those final steps for you in the coming months. Now, it usually takes up to 90 days post-closing to complete all of the steps of the registration in all of the government agencies. They have to be done in order, and it's just how long it takes. So, second last now is our list of important documents. So the escritura here is equivalent to the title or deed in other countries. It demonstrates who holds legal ownership of the property. Next up is the plano. So that is the plot map. It's a physical map that shows the boundaries of the land. We have a solvencia municipal, which is the municipal solvency. It's a document that shows the property taxes are up to date. We have the libertad de gravamen, which is a certificate of no liens. That document shows that the property has no liens, outstanding loans, or other encumbrances. We have the historia registral. Now that document shows the public history of the land for the previous 30 years. Promesa de venta, which is a promise of sale. If there's seller financing, that document secures the property, defines the terms of payment, and schedule in a publicly registered way. Now lastly, just some other important terms to know. We have the cadastro, which is the office where the plano plot map is kept. It details measurements, physical description of the land. We have a registro público de propiedad, which is the public real estate office, public real estate registry. It's the office where an equal copy of that escritura is kept. The impuesto de bienes y inmuebles is an annual real estate tax. Depending on the municipality, 1% of the property value. San Juan del Sur, 0.8, a little less than 1, and often discounts if you pay them before March of every year. HOA is a homeowners association fee. Now, if you buy in a private development, there will usually be a monthly fee to cover road maintenance, private water wells, security, shared utilities. Check with your agent and compare fees and services to determine which development is right for you. So, are you feeling overwhelmed? Don't worry, this is what we're here for. This is my job. Our job as real estate agents and brokers in Nicaragua is to help you navigate this process and ensure that you're comfortable every step of the way. Myself and the team at Life in Nica are here to support you, and our efforts go beyond just finding you the perfect property. We've got decades of combined experience in the local market, and we put that expertise to work for you today. Like I said, whether it's my own listings that I have, if you want some help with consulting, I am here for you. I love to help people in Nicaragua invest, make the move down, start businesses, and you can contact me any of the ways listed below. I really try to respond to most messages by the end of the day, and I would love to help you. So thank you for watching. I really hope this was helpful for you. Go ahead and like the video, feel free to subscribe, and check out the website, and let me know what I can help and what else I can answer for you. So hope you guys have a great day. Bye for now.